Call Hari Harawira.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker, tēnā tātou katoa te whare. Mr. Speaker, in our first 3 years in the House, the Māori Party focused on laying down solid policy foundations based on our commitment to kaupapa Māori before entering into a relationship with government that included the appointment of 2 ministerial posts. So we're able to bring a unique perspective as the independent Māori voice in Parliament to any debate, including ways to improve the electoral administration system, and it is on that basis that we will support this notice of motion to establish a committee to consider legislation concerning the referendum on the electoral system. And we would expect Māori representation, kia ora, George, to be a big issue to the committee as it is to the Māori Party itself, particularly given that Māori are represented as voters on the general roll, the Māori roll, and as non-voters as well. Māori people don't all buy into the electoral system, Mr. Speaker, hence the phrase, don't vote. It only encourages them. And for those that do, there are obstacles which often makes them wonder why. And we're keen to see that change if government is serious about involving Māori in the mainstream political process. Like, for example, the fact that during the 2008 campaign, nearly 100,000 Māori aged 18 to 35 were not even on the roll, suggesting a major education campaign at wharekura level is critical if government is serious about involving Māori in the mainstream political process. We also found during that same campaign that another 47,000 Māori had been removed from the roll because their enrolment packs came back as undelivered, nearly twice the non-Māori figure. Again, another critical area to be addressed if government is serious about involving Māori in the mainstream political process. Clearly, Mr. Speaker, there's a need for more research to understand why Māori voter turnout and electoral registration are so much lower than non-Māori, as there's also a need for more robust strategies specifically targeting Māori, aimed at getting them on the roll and keeping them there if government is serious about involving Māori in the mainstream political process. Indeed, denying Māori the opportunity to vote simply because they moved is probably a breach of human rights, so we're keen to investigate other options like the use of IRD numbers, driver's licences, community service cards, gold cards and data matching to ensure that those electoral rights are guaranteed to Māori hakua kei hea rātou e noho ana. Then of course once we get them on the roll and get them to agree to stay there, we still face the massive problem of low Māori voter turnout, 62% in the Māori seats compared to 80% in the general seats. And if I might add, to no one's great surprise, when we look into the factors that cause low turnout, youth and poverty figure highly. So again, we'll be looking to the policies and programs that will change those factors if government is serious about involving Māori in the mainstream political process. We also note, Mr. Speaker, the conclusions of the Māori Electoral Engagement Research 2006 project, which said that the very state of being Māori was a key to the design, development and implementation of any programs aimed at getting a positive result for Māori. They also noted that there needed to be better training packages before people engaged with Māori communities, and that voters wanted more relevant and timely information available at community level. So clearly a more positive electoral education campaign is needed to encourage Māori to participate in elections, including programs specifically targeting Māori aged 15 to 25, greater education about MMP and the electoral process, a review of the research and about why Māori don't vote, and campaigns with a strong message about the importance of enrolment and voting. And as clearly, the Māori Party supports any opportunity for a fresh look at the way in which elections themselves are conducted in this country, including the long queues for the Māori seats at polling stations, the lack of voter information, the lack of translators, the lack of warmth from electoral officials, and often the complete absence of voter packages for the Māori seats at polling stations. Given how hard it is to get Māori to even get on the roll, Mr. Speaker, nothing is surer that making them then feel worthless about their status when they come in to vote is a guarantee that they will never come back again. So again, if government is serious about involving Māori in the mainstream political process, there will need to be greater attention paid to encouraging Māori voters to want to participate. Mr. Speaker, the Māori Party has already given some thought to this vexing issue, and we're happy to put forward these ideas about Māori electoral participation for consideration of the House. 1. That all Māori be automatically entered onto the Māori roll at 18 years of age, with an option to transfer to the general roll. That the Māori electoral option be changed to allow Māori to change roles during an election cycle. That electoral data include iwi and hapu to help in the development of tribal planning. That Māori voters be allowed to choose to vote according to their iwi base rather than their residence. And that the Electoral Act be changed so that the Taitonga no longer has to include Wellington as well as the whole of the South Island, and that the Taitonga can properly represent Te Waipounamu as it always should have been allowed to do. The Māori Party, Mr. Speaker, will be represented by Rāhui Kātene on the Electoral Referendum Committee because we see this review as critical to ensuring the right of Māori to actively participate in a system which will have a huge impact on the future of our nation. Kia ora tātou.